Good morning. Thank you all for joining. We will begin this hearing in just a moment once we clear the waiting room. As a reminder, when you are joining from the waiting room, please remain on mute unless or until you are providing testimony before the board. Good morning. This is a hearing before the licensing board for the city of Boston. Today is Tuesday, January 21st, 2025. Today's hearing is being held pursuant to temporary amendments to the open meeting law. That is what allows us to meet virtually. Today's hearing is being recorded and will be posted to the city of Boston's website. Before I review procedural matters, I will introduce Chairwoman of the Board, Kathleen Joyce.
Good morning. My name is Kathleen Joyce. I'm Chair of the Boston Licensing Board, and I'm joined today by Commissioner Liam Curran and Commissioner Kiana Saxon.
Thank you. Please ensure that your audio and visuals are working properly if you are planning on providing testimony this morning. I will call each item in the order that it appears on this morning's agenda. I will then ask who is present on behalf of the licensee, who is present on behalf of the Boston Police Department, and whether there are any other individuals with firsthand knowledge of the alleged incident who wish to testify. I will then swear in all parties. After that, the police report will be read into the record, and the licensee or their representative will have the opportunity to make a brief statement, followed by questions by the chair and commissioners. All testimony will be limited only to those individuals with firsthand personal knowledge of the alleged incident. We begin with the first item on this morning's agenda, calling item number 1, the Boston Leco Corp., located at 71 to 79 Warrenton Street. Date of the incident, September 10th, 2024. Assault and battery, employee on patron in violation of Mass General Laws, Chapter 138, Section 64, and Chapter 265, Section 13A. And assault and battery patron on employee in violation of Mass General Laws, Chapter 138, Section 64, and Chapter 265, Section 13A. Who's present on behalf of the licensee? Do we have anybody with us on behalf of the Boston Leco Corp.? We will contact the licensee and take a second call. Item number 2.
It is not.
Oh, excuse me. Sir, are you here on behalf of the Boston Leco Corp.? I'm going to ask you to unmute again.
Yes, I'm waiting for Chuck Del Pidio. My name is Stephen Barboza. I'm head of security for the Lego Corp Candy Bar Nightclub. For some reason, it's not allowing me to show the video of my face.
Something should have just popped up on your phone. I just asked you to start video. And do you know if Mr. Del Pidio is on the call with us right now?
No, I do not. If you like, I could give him a brief call.
That would be great. And then also see if we can figure out how to turn your video on in the meantime. We will take a second call. We'll come back to these items and move on to the next licensee. Thank you. Move on to item number 3, calling GSTH Investment Group LLC, doing business as Bijou and Rock and Rye, located at 51 Stewart Street. Date of the incident, October 3rd, 2024. Multiple injured patrons, intoxicated, possible underage, in violation of Mass General Laws, Chapter 138, Section 64. Who is present on behalf of the licensee?
Attorney Green, Stephen Miller, Dermot Kofi Miller, and Hanley, trying to determine, for some reason my video isn't working very well. I'm trying to determine if Joe Ganem and David Smith are on this morning.
David Smith.
How about Joe Ganem? Joe, are you on? So David Smith is the head of security, and Joe Ganem is the general manager who's written the incident reports, and David's, both of them were on that night, and I would want to go for a second call,
Sure. Okay,
please.
thank you. Understood. Great. We will take a second call. Hopefully, Mr. Gainer will be back with us at that point. It does look like we were just joined by an iPhone, just circling back to Boston Leco Court. Mr. Del Pidio, have you joined us? I believe that is your phone number.
Hello, Mr. Green?
Yes. Hi, is this Mr. Del Pidio?
Yes, sir. How are you?
Great, thank you very much. Then we are going to return back to the top of the agenda. Are you able to turn your camera on so that we can swear you in?
Well, we're gonna try to, sir. The host has asked you to start your video. Okay. There we go.
Thank you very much. Returning back to item number 1, the Boston Leco Corp. located at 71 to 79 Warrington Street. Date of the incident, September 10th, 2024. Assault and battery, employee on patron, in violation of Mass General Laws, Chapter 138, Section 64, and Chapter 265, Section 13A. And assault and battery, patron on employee, in violation of Mass General Laws, Chapter 138, Section 64, and Chapter 265, Section 13A. Who is present on behalf of the licensee?
Charles Del Pidio.
George Kalivas.
Oh,
And there was also a Mr. Barbosa. Are you still with us?
you have Mr. Kalivas there, Mr. Green?
Yes, I see Mr. Del Pidio, I see Mr. Clevis. Mr. Barbosa is now rejoining from the waiting room, so give us just one moment to swear him in. In the meantime, who is present on behalf of the Boston Police Department?
Detective Lawton should be present. If not, or Lieutenant or Sergeant Detective Taxter. If not, Lieutenant Detective Troy.
Thank you, Lieutenant Detective Troy. I believe it will be you this morning. And Mr. Barbosa, are you with us? We're back on item number 1. Mr. Del Pidio has joined us.
Yes, I am.
Thank you. And is it possible for you to turn on your video for us? There we go. Thank you very much. Can you all please raise your right hand? Thank you. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
I do.
Thank you. Lieutenant Troy, if you could please read the police report into the record for the board.
Reading from a police report written by Officer Wasaski on September 21st, 2024. It reads as follows. At 10:38 on Friday, September 10th, 2024, officers assigned to the Alpha 103 responded to a radio call for an assault in progress at 279 Tremont Street, Boston. On arrival, officers were talking to a victim, Miss McCarthy. Miss McCarthy said her and her two friends, Miss Plaza and Mrs. Ease, exited their Uber with a Coke in their hand and a Gatorade. Miss McCarthy said the bouncers to Project X Club 279 Tremont came up and accused them of having alcohol in their beverages and threw them away. Miss McCarthy stated the bouncer then placed an X on their hands and told them that they weren't allowed into the club. McCarthy stated her two friends then walked to the side entrance where they were to the left-hand side. McCarthy stated since they had purchased tickets and the bouncers had placed the X on their hands, she tried to walk into the club. McCarthy stated one of the bouncers stopped her. She then slapped a drink out of a bouncer's hand. McCarthy stated she slapped a drink out of the bouncer's hand. He punched her in the face. McCarthy denied needing AMS. Officers did not observe any swelling, discoloration, or blood coming from McCarthy's nose area. Officer asked McCarthy who assaulted her, at which point she pointed to a male security bouncer in black-colored baseball hat, black-colored sweatshirt, and a yellow-colored radio attached to his dark-colored pants. Officers observed McCarthy wore a black-colored shirt, gray-colored pants. McCarthy's friend Plaza wore a pink-colored top, gray-colored pants. Plaza stated the male bouncer punched McCarthy in the face. Plaza stated that the bouncer also took their drinks, and one of their drinks was for Aziz, who was diabetic. Aziz wore a white colored top and light colored jeans. Officers went to speak to a male who was standing next to one of the club entrances. The male advised that he did not speak to the females or interact with them, and he did not want to provide his information. Officer later learned from the manager, Miss Elizabeth Malkins, that the male was the head of security. Malkins stated that she did not witness the incident but came downstairs because one of the bouncers reached out to her regarding the issue in line with McCarthy Plaza and Aziz. Malkins stated that there were 2 cameras on the entrance to the front door. After being asked to view the video's surveillance footage, she advised the camera system was not working. Officers spoke to 2 bouncers at the front entrance, Mr. Matthew McConnell, Giovanni Gorillin. McConnell wore a black-colored skull cap, dark-colored zip-up sweatshirt, pants. Mr. Gullion wore a black-colored sweatshirt with the Dominican Republic flag on the upper right part of his arm, a blue Red Sox baseball cap and pants. McConnell stated he observed the 3 females, McCarthy Plaza and Aziz, in the line with open containers in their hands. McConnell said one was a red Solo cup of Diet Coke and the other was a Gatorade bottle. McConnell informed the females that they were not allowed to open have open containers in line and asked to smell the beverages. McConnell stated that he smelled the beverages and it smelled like liquor was inside, so he took the beverages away from them. McConnell stated that he placed X marks on the 3 females so they did not try to sneak into the over 21 portion of the club, which is downstairs. McConnell stated the female in the black colored shirt, Miss McCarthy, tried to run into the club and was stopped. McConnell said McCarthy then slapped the beverage out of his co-worker's Gulrian's hand. McConnell stated McCarthy then informed him that she wanted a refund and he told her to reach out to the promoter. Officer spoke to the other bouncer, Mr. Gulrian, who stated that he denied McCarthy Plaza and Aziz entrance into the club due to their drinking in line. He stated that after he left the line, McCarthy tried to rush into the club. Gulrian stated that he stopped and she slapped the drink out of his hand. Mr. Gulrian stated McCarthy was denied access to the club and she wasn't punched by anyone. That's the extent of the initial police report. There's an additional report from Detective Lawton, I believe. I'm sorry. We can go through this. It's rather lengthy and it reiterates the details of the first report, and it reads as follows. And this is from September 30th, 2024, and it's from Detective Miles Lawton. As a result of an ongoing investigation, Detective Lawton identified Giovanni O'Gorillion as the person who committed an assault and battery against Miss McCarthy on September 10th, 2024. Subsequent to this investigation, it also revealed McCarthy committed an assault and battery against Mr. Gulrian during the same incident. It reiterates that the initial report, and I'll just skip down to where it mentions the cameras. It mentions camera angle number 1, which is the doorway entrance. This video depicts Miss McCarthy assaulting the bouncer, Miss Gorillian. On analyzing this video, Detective Lawton observed what appeared to be the entrance to the building. The doorway acts as the gateway for the entrance into the 2 clubs, Candy Bar and Project X. The angle of the camera only reveals that the doorway entrance, which is slightly obstructed by a door frame of an open door. The view of this camera does not capture the pedestrian area of the sidewalk where patrons are standing in line. While analyzing this video, several patrons and security personnel can be seen entering and exiting the building. After a brief moment into the video, Detective Lawton observed multiple security personnel inundate the entrance, attempting to keep a patron from entering. That patron can be seen making several attempts to maneuver past the security personnel in an attempt to enter the building. A patron was later identified as Miss McCarthy, although her face is not visible. Detective Lawton was able to make this determination based on several factors. It matches her clothing, it matches the description of the person attempting to break past security. Body-worn camera footage was reviewed by Detective Lawton of responding officers, which depicted Miss McCarthy talking to them and explaining her version of events, matched the clothing description seen in camera number 1. Moving on to camera number 2, this video depicts Mr. Gulrian assaulting Miss McCarthy. The camera angle shows the pedestrian area of the sidewalk facing Stewart Street. In the video, you can see both parties arguing. Miss McCarthy would have at this time already assaulted Mr. Gulrian and had decided to leave the area. Mr. Gulrian appears to be following her and her friends based on the observation of McCarthy's body language, including flaring arms, walking out of the camera frame and pointing towards the Club Candy Bar. Words between the two of them appear to be being exchanged. Shortly thereafter, Miss McCarthy began seen walking away towards a crowd of people lingering in the area, waiting in line to enter another establishment closer to Stewart Street. Mr. Gulrian can be seen entering the camera frame, following her and her friends at the same time, and unidentified security personnel is observed attempting to hold Mr. Gulrian back by grasping his arms in an attempt to cut off his path towards Miss McCarthy. Simultaneously, Miss McCarthy appears to want to avoid the confrontation and shielded herself behind other patrons within her proximity to protect herself from the ensuing attack. As Mr. Gulrian closes in on her, he blocks Miss McCarthy from being able to move any further and assaults her by hitting her in the face with his hand as she is standing with her back to the wall of the building. After the assault, he is escorted away by several unidentified security personnel, and Miss McCarthy places her hand over her mouth face area, visibly distraught by the events that had just taken place. As a result of the aforementioned facts, Detective Lawton is seeking probable cause hearing to determine the elements of assault and battery that have been established to charge Mr. Johnny Gulrian and Miss Della McCarthy with one count of assault and battery. That's the extent of the police reports. There's also video that I forwarded to the board.
Thank you, Lieutenant Troy. We do have that video. Mr. Del Pidio, Mr. Calivas, Mr. Barbosa, would you like to address the alleged incident?
Yes, Mr. Green, thank you so much. You know, I don't know why people think they can come to the door, have alcohol in their hands, and be expected to be let in. That will not be tolerated. We have people walking up and down the line to make sure people are not drinking in line. A lot of that report is right on the money, I will say. But when she was not allowed in, she tried to run through the ropes and run by all the doormen and just go in. She was stopped by the security, and then when she was stopped, she took a swing at the door person and hit his coffee. I don't know if she slapped him or not, but she did take a swing at him and knocked it on the ground. This has already gone to court, and it has been dismissed on both sides by the magistrate, because when she went to the hearing, she couldn't say who the doorman was. She says she really didn't even remember much of what happened. We weren't going to let her in for the simple reason they were drinking and they were intoxicated, in our opinion.
Anything further from either you or Mr. Calivas or Mr. Barbosa before we move to questions from the board?
No, I don't think so.
That we will see if there are any questions at this time. Chairwoman Joyce.
Thank you. The police report said, I believe it was the head of security did not want to cooperate with the police, share information.
Say that again, please.
I believe the police report said that security did not want to provide information on this night. I think it was later determined it was the head of security.
That was the head of security for Royale, who got called on the radio to come down to the door. But he didn't witness anything, and so I'm not sure exactly how we always.
Can I tell you something? We always cooperate
Yeah.
100% with the police department. So I don't know anything about that particular question that you just asked me. I'm sorry, I don't know the answer to that. If that was the case, I would jump all over that with our door staff.
So who was the person referred to in the police report? It sounds like it was not the head of security, or was the head of security from Royale?
You're talking about the person that got the coffee slapped out of his hands?
I have to go back to the police report, but there's a line where it says security. I can't find it right now. It's a very lengthy police report, obviously, but police asked the security person for information, and then it was later determined it was the head of security.
I don't know the answer to that.
Sounds like the person with you does.
Judge?
Our staff knows that we're huge, backers of Boston Police. So I don't know why this person said this. I already spoke to everybody since then up in Royale to reiterate how we cooperate, 100% with the Boston Police Department. So
So your response to why he didn't cooperate this night was that you don't know why, but you talked to him after?
yes,
How long did he work there?
he's been working for between the different clubs for
20 years?
20 years probably.
So, Mr. Del Pidio, you know who we're referring to?
Well, if you're,
Gary
if you're just,
Williams.
yeah, you have to, yeah,
It has to be Gary. Yeah, Gary
yeah.
Williams.
But I have no knowledge of what you asked. Judge
Yeah,
knows a little better than I.
That particular night, I was still in a hospital bed recovering from surgery.
The video shows someone slapping this patron in the face, and it appears to be an employee. Are you denying that your employee slapped her in the face?
I am not denying that.
Absolutely not.
Okay. Is this person, Mr. Grulian, still working for you?
No, he is not.
And after he slapped the patron in the face, what did you do?
We took him right off the door immediately, brought him downstairs and had a long talk with him, and I let him go home.
Is he still, did you discipline him?
Absolutely.
Can you tell me a little bit about that?
Basically, he hasn't worked since that night. He's done. Toast.
Yes. As a matter of fact, he even moved away to another country.
Okay, 1 second.
This whole thing is totally unfortunate, but again, I always say to the board and to my employees that 90% of problems in the clubs can be prevented at the front door. Unfortunately, this girl decided that she was going to make her own rules, use her hands against other people, and try to make her own rule to get in.
Okay, you were before us in June of 2022, an assault and battery patron on patron, and you were supposed to submit an updated security and dispersal plan, as well as include details about how internal reports and communications are handled between security and management. Did you write, and this incident was long after that one. Can you please submit to us any internal reports and communications you have from this incident?
I will.
Yeah, I thought
I'm writing this down right now.
that yes, we can do that.
Yes.
And then I hope the report contains
Go ahead.
what kind of training and de-escalation you did following this incident.
Yes. Okay.
Okay. And if you're appear before us again for an assault like this, I would like the internal report submitted as well so that we can refer to them on the hearing.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Commissioner Corona, Commissioner Saxon, do you have any questions?
Yes, are there internal reports that were created around the time of the incident?
Yeah, we write up notes whenever there's whatever some kind of incident that happens.
We have an incident report.
You know, we keep a calendar and legend, you know, and jot stuff down.
Okay. Do you have a statement from the other employee that was seemingly attempting to stop Mr. Grillian?
I spoke with him and basically, you know,
Do you have a written statement
in
that
front
was made at the time?
not in front of me right now, no.
No. Does it exist?
From
Giovanni, yes, we do.
not from Giovanni.
No, from the other employee, the one who was attempting to intervene.
No, I do not have. He did not write anything up because everything was on camera. I mean, he was involved in it. It was like a half a second where Giovanni just went around him and he didn't block him, but he grabbed his arm and Giovanni just went right around him and then circled around and confronted the girl, Miss McCarthy.
All right, that's all I have. Thank you.
Nothing really to add, just, you know, we're certainly looking for some sort of rationale justification for why there would ever be a bouncer who would put hands on a patron. I understand that the patron was acting unruly, but I think that's what, you know,
Right.
looking for.
Yeah, unfortunately, she decided to assault him. And that's what really started it.
Right, but you know.
That's number one. Number two is that the golden rule, one of the golden rules, we have a few, but one of them is in the building, in the clubs downstairs and upstairs in Royale, is you don't put your hands on people. So Giovanni, you know, broke the rule, and that's why he no longer works for us.
No.
Any further questions from the board? Okay, there was a request from the chair for any internal reports that exist from this incident. Please do forward that to the board. The record will remain open until the end of the day tomorrow.
Wow, okay.
Thank you. The board will take this matter under advisement.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Calling item number 2, which involves the same licensee, the Boston Liquor Corp., located at 71 to 79 Warrenton Street. Date of the incident, October 13th, 2024, serving alcohol to minors in violation of Mass General Laws, Chapter 138, Section 3434A, 41, 6464A, and Board's Rule 1.08F. Who's present on behalf of the licensee?
Charles Delpidio.
George Kalivas.
And Mr. Barbosa, thank you. Who is present on behalf of the Boston Police Department?
I saw Officer Rooney here on the call list. Yeah, there he is.
Officer Christopher Rooney. Sorry. Apologize for the background noise. I'm at BMC Central.
No worries. Thank you for being with us, Officer Rooney. Are there any other individuals with firsthand knowledge of the alleged incident who wish to testify? Thank you. The licensee has already been sworn in. Officer Rooney, can you please raise your right hand? Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
No. Oh, okay, sorry.
Thank you. Officer Rooney, could you please read the police report into the record for the board?
Yes, I can. About 2:30 a.m. on Sunday, October 13th, 24, Officer Entwistle and Rooney in the Alpha K1 Alpha arrested a suspect for fighting directly in officer's presence at the parking lot at 270 Tremont Street downtown. Can everyone hear me?
Yes.
Okay, all right. It should be noted that officers were assigned to the A1 anti-crime car. This is a plainclothes unit. Officers were wearing ballistic vests with bold Boston police letters on the front and back, making it easily identifiable as police officers. Officers also had their department issued badges displayed on their vests and outer garment. On Saturday nights, officers have been clearing large crowds of people loitering in the area of the theater district, the parking garage at 270 Tremont Street, as well as the adjacent parking lot, has become an open party with extremely loud music playing from cars. Hundreds of people have been gathering after the clubs close and stay in the area, causing massive traffic issues and noise complaints. Officers have observed several vehicles with illegal speakers inside trunks and on truck beds. Every Saturday for the last several weeks, officers had to shut down the intersection of Tremont Street and Stewart Street to pull traffic towards Oak Street and clear the roadways to allow for the proper flow of traffic. About 2:30 a.m., officers observed hundreds of people inside the parking lot of 270 Tremont Street. Crowds were gathering, playing loud music from cars parked in the lot, and officers observed people drinking alcoholic beverages. Several officers from the last half shift decided to start clearing the cars from the parking lot. Channel 2 dispatch radioed that there were multiple calls to 911 for loud music from the cars. There was also a shots fired call from call number P240-518-721 from the Doubletree Hotel located directly behind the parking garage that was mistaken for loud music in the parking lot and parking garage. For several minutes, officers directed traffic and worked to clear the parking lot of cars and pedestrians. One group of people standing next to black Volkswagen Golf mass registration 5 Mike Delta Alpha 21 refused to leave the area. There was a crowd of approximately 20 to 30 young males and females yelling and dancing in the parking lot. Officers explained that it was time to leave and clear out of the lot. Several males protested leaving and started to record officers on scene. Officers explained that there were loud noise disturbance calls and to leave the area. The group refused to leave. Moments later, some of the males started pushing and yelling at each other. A large fight erupted inside of the parking lot. Officer Entwistle observed the suspect, later identified as Josue Borges, date of birth 1/1/2003, who was a tall Hispanic male with medium build, black curly hair with blonde tips, and was wearing a purple sweatshirt, get himself into a bladed position with his hands raised. The suspect, Borges, then started punching an unknown male in a gray shirt. Officer Entwistle attempted to break up the altercation by pulling back the unknown male in the gray shirt away from Borges. At this time, Borges attempted to advance past Officer Entwistle, swinging his right arm in the direction of the male in the gray shirt. Borges ultimately struck Officer Entwistle in the chest. Officer Entwistle had made himself known earlier as a Boston police officer. The suspect then went to throw a punch with his right hand and struck Officer Entwistle in the chest for the second time. Officer Entwistle was surrounded by multiple people fighting. Officer Entwistle took the volatile suspect to the ground away from the group and placed him in handcuffs with the assistance of Officer Rooney. Once safely handcuffed, unknown suspects involved in a physical altercation attempted to interfere with the arrest. Officers had to physically move people away from Borges to ensure Borges' safety. Officer Entwistle suffered a very minor laceration to his right hand during the altercation. EMS was not needed. Officer Rooney removed his department-issued OC spray and ordered multiple aggressive males away from officers and to stop fighting. No one was sprayed. While officers were dealing with the suspect, officers observed other officers breaking up several fights in the parking lot. Officers called for all 8 units to respond, and eventually officers gained control of the brawl. The suspect was placed under arrest and transported to Nashua Street Jail by the Alpha Gold 1 Alpha. That was Officers France and Paulino. Officers then went to identify the other parties involved in the altercation, who are now inside the black Volkswagen Golf. The operator, João Ornelas, stated they were let into the Candy Bar nightclub on Tremont Street. All parties inside the vehicle were under the age of 21. Per the patrol supervisor, parties were identified and Code 35 licensed premise was to be completed at a later date. The above parties were identified, added to this report, and released from the scene. The parties were friends with the suspect who were on scene during the altercation. It goes on to state, you know, how Borges was at Nashua, transported to MGH, and based on the totality of the circumstances, we placed him under arrest, and he was charged with A on a police officer, disorderly conduct, and common law. And that's essentially the facts on scene that night.
Thank you, Officer Rooney. Mr. Del Pidio, Mr. Kalivas, Mr. Barbosa, would you like to address the alleged incident?
So
Yes, please.
if I could,
I'm sorry.
Secretary, there's a secondary report, just a license premise violation.
Yes, thank you, Lieutenant Troy.
So Lieutenant Detective Troy already sworn. This is from Sergeant Jeffrey King, and it reads as follows: at about 10:05 p.m. on Friday, October 18th, Sergeant King conducted a licensed premise inspection of the Candy Bar nightclub at 275 Tremont Street, Boston. Per the above incident, there were 3 underage individuals stated that they've been drinking in the Candy Bar. Sergeant King issued license premise violation for serving under 21 years old alcoholic beverages. Manager on duty received the violation in hand. That's the extent of that report.
Thank you. The licensee, Mr. Del Pidio, Mr. Kalivas, Mr. Barbosa, you may proceed.
Thank you. Before anybody can get in the club, everybody is ID'd. We also have scanners that if there is a license that we're not sure about, it goes right in the scanner and it tells us. The biggest problem and that with people today is now they think they can put their licenses on their phone. And we do not accept that whatsoever. As far as the fightings in the parking lot, there are 7 nightclubs that get out at the same time, and they all are parked in that one garage. Unfortunately, we are down in that area. And, you know, at the end of the night, we have all our security on the sidewalk in front of the club, in front of the hotel, Royale security, Candy Bar security. When we're all cleared out, that's when we go downstairs and go back and punch out and people go home. But as far as the people trying to get in underage, we do our due diligence to make sure that nobody gets in underage. We don't want it. The board doesn't want it. I don't know anybody that don't want it. First of all, you know, I have no idea who these people are that we're talking about. And I can, even if we had our video here, we don't even know who they are. As far as you know, saying that they were there drinking, I have no idea who they are or were they in our club at all. May I ask the officer a question?
You may.
Officer, how are you? Do you have any knowledge that these people, did you see any of these people inside of our club or even try to get in the front door?
This was the parking lot, right garage.
Right.
Based on this altercation, after the situation, the extremely volatile situation where all officers had to clear out this massive fight. After the situation calmed down, this one group who was with the friend of the suspect that we arrested were by that Volkswagen, and we began speaking to them why they were here, what they were doing, why were they having alcohol, and they said they came from the Candy Bar and they were let in. That was based on their statement alone. I did not, you know, see them enter the club or see them walk out, but that's just based on the statement that they gave to officers on scene inside that parking lot.
I understand. Thank you, sir.
You're welcome.
I will say this to the board. Again, we do our due diligence to do the best we can on IDs. And like I say, we do have scanners. And if anything comes up that is even questionable, they're not let in.
How often do you use the scanner? Is it working? Do you use every ID?
No, not every ID, madam. Only because some of them are absolutely perfect. You know, their driver's license, passport, or whatever. But when there's a question on an ID, it goes right in that scanner. Have we put licenses in that scanner and people had to leave afterwards? Absolutely. I think it's a problem that's been through the centuries with people trying to get in underage.
Right, and so when someone, you added your own commentary that often patrons try to show you their license on their phone.
Yes, we don't allow that.
Okay, I just didn't know why you were adding that to the conversation.
Because I think it's becoming more prevalent now. I see more and more people doing this.
Well, I don't know any bar or club in Boston that allows that, so I'm not quite sure why patrons would think that's acceptable.
I have no idea, but it's not acceptable at our club.
Sure. Okay, so I know you weren't written up for dispersal, but since we have Officer Rooney here, who was here that night, and there are, it sounds like closing time is a complete mess down there yet again. Can you walk me through, first, Officer Rooney, what was it? Was this an unusual night? You called it a volatile situation and a massive fight, or is this now what's normal down there?
The fights can happen, that happened this particular night. But what is not unusual, especially on the weekends now, especially on a Saturday night, is there seems to be some sort of just massive acceptance of having a large party on Tremont Street in front of these clubs and in the parking garage across the street, and now this adjacent lot kind of diagonal from the main clubs. Now, there are a number of nightclubs down there, but you're having an influx of hundreds, if not thousands of people in this area, where it's causing, first of all, a massive traffic jam at that location. So we've had to take it upon ourselves to block traffic, shut down intersections. I've responded, particularly people just dancing on cars in the middle of Tremont Street. It's become far too common on a Saturday night. And this was particularly Saturday night. We're lucky it's only been minor fights down there. God forbid anything serious, and we can't get down there, and the whole thing is backed up. So, but yeah, this has been, especially on the weekends, a pretty regular occurrence of major traffic issues and influx of hundreds of people just drinking open in public and blocking the intersection and roads and drinking in that parking lot and playing loud music that you can see has sometimes been mistaken for shots fired calls. And so essentially that's what's been going on the weekends.
Again, this isn't a hearing on the closing and the dispersal, and I realize there's other clubs there, but I am seriously considering having a hearing on this real public safety issue and rolling back the hours of the clubs down there. So, Mr. Del Pidio, you can let your co-clubs and licensees know that I am truly concerned about this, and we'll be following up with all of you. With that, I don't have any other questions. Commissioner Curran or Commissioner Saxon?
Does your scanner keep records?
I believe, yes, it does.
Okay, and how long are those kept?
I personally don't know.
I don't know.
Did you try to search your records whether people with the names in the police report were scanned?
Yeah, I did not find them in the computer system. The scanner system. We looked at that.
All right. When did you do that search?
I did that right after we got the write-up.
When you got the police report?
Yeah, and when it came to write us up afterwards.
Oh, so when were you aware that? When did you receive the names? I'm sorry.
Probably not till we got the write-up.
Yeah. What do you mean by the write-up? I'm sorry.
Well, the violation.
The violation.
Okay, when the code 35 was done.
Yes.
Yes.
And at that moment, you got a copy of the names?
Yes.
Let's see. Let me take a look.
Do you recall when you did the search? Was it in October or was it recently?
No. It was back in October.
Okay,
But
and you search your scanner.
yeah, yeah,
George did, I did.
yeah.
Okay. And you had the names at that point.
Let's see, the name's on here?
No, it's here.
One moment, please.
Yep.
There's no names on there, is there?
No, the name's on,
No.
no, yeah, and that,
On the license, premise inspection notice, the one that they gave us for the write-up?
In October, 5 days after the incident.
Yeah, there's no names on there. I don't see the names.
Okay, so, but did you just tell me you did a search then?
yeah.
George said that.
I don't remember exactly the day I did the search, but it was after I got the names and
Do you have any idea when you received the names?
Oh, here it is, here, suspect here. Probably when we got it in the mail, really, I guess.
yeah, because it happened at almost 2:45, 3:00 in the morning. I had no knowledge of this actually happening until we got the write-up.
Yeah, that's not what I asked you.
Yeah,
I asked you if you did a search through your scanner system for the names
yes.
and when you did that. But you told me that happened around the time of the incident in October.
Yeah,
But I wouldn't have thought you even had the names back then.
no, when I got the write-up, that's when I did the search.
The code 35 write-up.
No, when I actually got the
When it was.
The hearing notice.
and I got the report with information. I always request that after.
Okay, you requested the police report?
I request. I always get the. I ask. Gallagher always brings me. Sergeant Gallagher always brings me information if it's to give to so I can find search everything to see what information I can get.
Okay. Do you recall when that happened with regard to this incident?
No, I was.
Okay.
Yeah,
all right, moving on. Do you have the ability to search your credit card receipts for names?
This one, how long ago was this?
You know what? The copy of the credit cards we would.
So if someone with these names used a credit card in your establishment, you could search that.
Yes.
Did you do that?
No, I did not.
Okay, I think that's all I have. Thank you.
I didn't even think about that.
Nothing to add right now. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any further questions from the board on this matter? Board will take this under advisement as well. Thank you.
Thank you.
Calling item number 3, GSTH Investment Group LLC, doing business as Bijou and Rock and Rye, located at 51 Stewart Street. Date of the incident, October 3rd, 2024. Multiple injured patrons, intoxicated, possible underage, in violation of Mass General Laws, Chapter 138, Section 64. Who is present on behalf of the licensee?
Morning, Attorney Green, Stephen Miller, McDermott, Quilty, Miller, and Hanley. I have with me David Smith, who's the head of security, and Joe Ganem, who's the general manager for Bijou.
Thank you. I don't see Mr. Smith or Mr. Ganem on my screen. There we go. I see Mr. Ganem. Mr. Smith, if you are planning on providing testimony, could you please turn your camera on so that we can swear you in?
I think he's under Dave. Dave, you got it? He was on before.
Yeah,
There
he's on. Here he is.
Oh, okay.
Thank you. And who is present on behalf of the Boston Police Department?
Sergeant Brian Dunford, DUNFORD.
Thank you, Sergeant Dunford. Are there any other individuals of firsthand knowledge of the alleged incident who wish to testify? Can you all please raise your right hand? Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Thank you. Sergeant Dunford, if you could please read the police report into the record for the board.
All right. About 12:37 a.m. on Thursday, October 3rd, 2024, officers were dealing with a completely unrelated matter across the street when we heard a group shouting for us. We saw a group of 4 young people carrying a woman who was semi-conscious and bleeding across the street and trying to put her into the back of our parked police cruiser. We brought him over to the sidewalk, and we were shortly after that, we encountered another woman who had an injury to her face. There was not a fight. They had both fallen down while leaving the club, Bijou. And while we were trying to ascertain their identities, these people who all said they were born in India were providing licenses from various states in America. We were unable to determine that they were fake IDs, but we were very suspicious. And that's what I have for you.
Thank you, Sergeant Dunford. Attorney Miller, would you like to address the alleged incident?
Sergeant, did you see any of these people in Bijou nightclub?
No, sir.
Did you see any of these people receive alcoholic beverages?
No, sir.
Do you know if they were intoxicated from alcoholic beverages or something else?
I strongly believe they were intoxicated. I cannot tell you what may have contributed to that intoxication.
And did you or any of the other police officers talk to Mr. Smith, or the door staff who was there at that time?
I do not believe I talked to him that night. I cannot testify to what any other officer did.
Thank you, Sergeant. Dave, are you there?
Yes, Steve.
Can you identify yourself to the board, please?
David Smith, head of security manager for Bijou.
And were you working on 10-2?
Yes, sir.
And did you see a woman leave the club with friends that why don't you describe what you saw about one of the women that fell when she was outside?
2 females walked out. They were leaning against the building, restaurant, not far from our doorway. They were trying to get an Uber. They were sharing a jacket, wrapped up, huddled. It was pretty cold. One female had on sandals, heeled sandals, and they went out a couple times to check to see if the Uber was there. And at one time they walked to step off the curb and she fell with the sandals and she fell. It's a simple fall.
So when these 3 left, did you notice any signs of intoxication?
I didn't. They were cold, just huddled up with each other, trying to share a jacket.
And how long were they outside waiting for an Uber?
Maybe 10, 15 at the most.
And one of them, do you remember, was it the woman wearing sandals that
Yes,
tripped?
it was. She tripped over her friend's foot and she went down.
And so can you describe that evening about some other women walking up and down the street?
There was a group of folks. It was probably 3 or 4. They tried to get in line a couple times. We denied them, and apparently they fell up at the corner of the street up at Kinkia restaurant. Had nothing to do with us. That was a while later when they fell. We didn't even know till we saw the blue lights and everything going on.
Those people enter the club?
Not at all.
In that night, you were fully staffed?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Gannon, will you identify yourself to the board?
Joseph Ganem, general manager, Bijou nightclub.
And you working that night?
I was working that night.
And how you did an incident report?
Yes, I did do an incident report.
And the incident report is consistent with what Mr. Smith's testimony was?
Yes. The incident report
Also-
was done the night of.
And also, did you do a report based on staffing for the night?
Yes.
And I will provide that. I'm sorry, I meant to provide it, but I will provide the 2 incident reports to the board this morning as soon as these hearings are over. And on that night, there were 15 tip certified cocktail waitresses. Is that correct?
Correct.
5 tip certified bartenders,
Correct.
11 crowd control certified security staff,
Correct.
7 bussers and 2 barbacks.
Correct.
Mr. Smith basically said he didn't notice that any of these 3 women that left the club with sharing a coat, I guess, were intoxicated. Were there any reports from any of the multiple tip certified people there and crowd control certified people that of any intoxicated patrons?
No, there were not.
I have nothing further, Madam Chair. We can confirm that 3 of these people were inside. One of them fell. They were outside waiting for an Uber, tripped over a friend's foot. As far as the other ones were concerned, we have no knowledge of them. They were not in the club, and they were actually not permitted to enter the club. Nothing further.
Thank you, Attorney Miller. See if there are any questions at this time.
Thank you. Are there cameras located by the front door?
So I'm also going to give you, Madam Chair, we've spent just about so far about $6,000 on our system and I'm going to give you the invoices to show you our system has been totally redone and hasn't been working properly up until about the beginning of December. This started all through, actually started in September. I think last summer we had a hearing and we had problem with the videos and we've had the system reworked. I will provide those invoices to you showing that we've spent approximately $6,000 on the upgrading the system so they have additional cameras around, plus the system will now not run over for more than 30 days, so we can hold any reports for at least 30 days. And I'll send those to you also to see that we have been diligently working on getting the system up to standard.
Okay, so sure, one second. The hearing that was in November, where you got a warning, and we noted that the licensee did not preserve the video. That was for an incident in October 2024.
Yeah.
And then this is also October 2024. When are you saying that the cameras, you had them up?
We've been working on the system since the last hearing. And we've had new equipment ordered and starting to be installed. You'll see the invoices 11/3, 11/13, 11/18, 11/19, and 12/2.
Okay, in addition to the invoices, I would like you to submit, and I'm asking staff to add this to the docket, a map of where every single camera is outside and inside, so I can refer to it the next time, if there is a next time you appear before us. And I asked for cameras. So I'm glad you're updating them and you have receipts of that, but I want to know exactly where they are. Again, this will be helpful with underage people going in and whether or not you really did check IDs, whether or not you use scanners, and will be very helpful with taking a look at what's going on at closing for dispersal. This is our third agenda item on today's hearing, and it's in the same neighborhood as the first two. So I want to be able to, I'm asking every licensee to submit those things that's in this general area, because I do anticipate having a hearing about public safety issues at closing. So I'm going to ask you to submit that as well.
We will do that, Madam Chair.
Okay, thank you. I have no other questions.
I have nothing to add.
Nothing to add.
Thank you. If there are no further questions from the board will take this matter under advisement. There was a request for any internal reports of the incident, the details of the camera system upgrade, and a map showing all the cameras at the licensed premise. And again, the record will stay open until the end of the day tomorrow. Calling item number 4, the same licensee, GSTH Investment Group LLC, doing business as Bijou and Rock and Rye, located at 51 Stewart Street. Date of this incident, October 28th, 2024. Premise operating after posted 2 a.m. closing in violation of Mass General Laws, Chapter 138, Section 64. Who is present on behalf of the licensee?
Once again, Attorney Green, Stephen Miller, McDermott, Quilty, Miller, and Hanley. And once again, I have Mr. Smith and Mr. Gannon with me.
Thank you very much. Who is present on behalf of the Boston Police Department?
Good morning, David Spellman, Boston Police.
Sergeant Brian Dunford, DUNFORD.
Sergeant Detective William Gallagher, Boston Police.
Thank you. Are there any other individuals with firsthand knowledge of the alleged incident who wish to testify? Can you all please raise your right hand? Thank you. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Yes.
Thank you very much. Who will be reading the police report into the record?
I will.
Thank you. You may please proceed.
At about 2:30 a.m. on Monday, 10/28/24, Officers Spellman and Shield in the Alpha 102 Alpha were flagged down for a noise complaint in the area of Bijou nightclub, 51 Stewart Street, Boston. Officers approached the front door and heard audible music coming from the nightclub. Officers spoke to the door staff and instructed them to bring a manager outside to speak with regarding the noise complaint. Officers waited approximately 10 minutes and no manager appeared. Sergeant Dunford, the Alpha 901, was notified.
Thank you very much. We have an additional report as well.
Yes, second report is mine, sir. I'll be reading. Sergeant Detective William Gallagher.
Thank you.
11/1/2024 at 11:16 p.m. Sergeant Brian Dunford and Sergeant William Gallagher, assigned to licensed premise unit, followed up on a radio call and subsequent report written by the Alpha 102 Spellman and Shield on 10/28/2024 at 2:30 a.m. Bill Spellman reports that officers could hear music coming from inside Bijou nightclub at 2:30. Officers were responding to 911 calls for loud music coming from Bijou. Officers waited 10 minutes for management. Sergeant Gallagher and Sergeant Dunford spoke to Mr. Joe Gannum on the 11/1, informing him that all entertainment must cease by 2 a.m. As a result, what had occurred on 10/28, Sergeant Gallagher issued license premise inspection notice number 017904 to Bijou for premise operating entertainment after posted 2 a.m. closing. Mr. Joe Gannum signed for and accepted the notice. That's it.
Thank you very much. Attorney Miller, would you like to address the alleged incident?
Sergeant, did Mr. Gannon cooperate?
Yes, sir, he did.
Did he give you any indication why the music might be playing that late?
He did, sir.
Did he? Well, all right. Thank you, Sergeant. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
Mr. Gannon, you there?
I'm here.
And so on that night, Monday night at 10/28, did you have private parties on both floors with Bijou?
Yes, we had both floors. Private parties were going on.
And on the one of the floors was one of those parties, New England Patriots party,
Yes.
and the
Yes,
other one
it was
was
the Halloween party.
the New England Patriots Halloween party, and the lower floor was just another private party.
It was just another private party.
And on that night, I'm going to submit the report or 10-2. So could I assume that you had double staff for this? So you'd have the same staff on both floors, 15 waitresses, five bartenders, security staff, etc. Would you
That is
have?
That's
And
correct.
so and that night you made a decision that you wanted to clear the lower floor first and get that cleared before you had started clearing the Patriots players.
Correct.
And by the time you've got that floor cleared, the lower floor, and then you were clearing the Patriots players, we're admitting to the fact it was a little bit past 2:30. And at that time, you still had the music playing.
That's correct. I didn't want the crowds to mesh with each other. We had a lot of high-profile players upstairs.
Did you turn the music down at 2:00?
We did turn it down. That's correct.
And you did clear all the alcohol, so there was no alcohol.
That is correct. Alcohol stopped being served.
And so, at approximately what time did you get everybody out of there? Was it 10 minutes after 2:30, or what was the approximate time that you got all the Patriots players? I assume they all had their black cars out front waiting for transportation.
That's correct. All the rides were outside. We had the Patriots out of the building by 2:45, 2:50. About the last couple players and their guests were leaving around that time.
And that was a decision you made. You're aware now that you could request the board for a little later closing with entertainment only. In some of these situations, you're aware of that, correct? Right?
That is correct. And the
You weren't
decision
aware-
wasn't made. That's correct.
You weren't aware of it at that time.
At the time, no.
We have nothing further. It was a discretionary move by Mr. Gannon. He had a full house and 2 floors, high profile athletes on the 1 floor, didn't want them mixing, didn't want issues out on the street, and made a mistake and understands that he can, in a situation like this, prior to the night, request a little later closing to make sure that everyone is safe. I have nothing further, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Attorney Miller. See if there are any questions from the board. Chairwoman Joyce?
Sure, that is one way you could resolve the problem, but you didn't do that. And you could also have more of a earlier dispersal for the other private parties so that you're not dealing with special circumstances for high-profile celebrity patrons. I believe you did request an extension of hours for one of these late night parties at one point. And we're happy to work with you on that. But again, you can't have the entertainment that loud. If it's clearly audible from outside, it's too loud. I don't care if it's Celtics, Patriots, or who it is. It doesn't sound like a very good business plan to just, let everybody out and wait and then keep the Patriots and their black cars, lingering outside. I think you're going to have to next time let everybody else out a lot earlier. I mean, again, we're on number 4. We have 6 items on today's agenda, and 5 of the 6 are all dealing with the same issues with dispersal. So I would be not inclined to extend hours for any reason in the future until we have a real meeting of the minds of the public safety issues going on here late at night.
Madam Chair, this was certainly an error of discretion, and it's something that the club has gone through, the ownership and the management has gone through to make sure that these types of things don't happen again.
And it's this board that gives permission for extension of hours. I know some of these clubs go to our nightlife person and personally make phone calls and ask her to call me about extension of hours, but it's this board, it's me who extends these hours. So I'm making that clear right now.
Thank you.
I don't have any other comments or questions.
Officer Spellman, were there patrons exiting while you were waiting there at the door?
Yes.
Okay, just a shot in the dark, could you identify, like, was it Patriots players leaving at 2:30, or did it seem to be, not the Patriots party?
I didn't recognize anybody.
Okay, but maybe this is a question for who would have been exiting at that time, Attorney Miller?
So they started clearing the third floor or second floor, whatever.
The other party.
Yeah, the other party in accordance with the normal hours, and once they were clear, they started then. So at 2:30, there would have been Patriots players and their entourage.
Just beginning to exit?
Well, no, they started as soon as the lower floor cleared. They then started escorting the Patriots out to their cars and doing all that, and it took longer than expected, and they were slower. They were lingering more, wanted to stay out later, those types of things, the usual things that you might have in a club at that time, and they were trying to avoid keep the two groups separated. Just not that they were expecting any physical violence, but just to protect the Patriots players from being approached or whatever. So it didn't work. They're aware it didn't work. They know they can't do it again. It was the manager's discretion at that time to avoid any major issues, and it took a little longer than expected. We apologize.
I think that's all I have. Thank you.
Nothing additional. Thank you.
Thank you. Anything further from the board on this matter? Board will take this under advisement. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Calling item number 5, Trinity Stewart Concessions LLC, doing business as the Raffles Hotel, located at 40 Trinity Place. Date of the incident, October 11th, 2024, December 24th, 2024, assault and battery, patron on patron, in violation of Mass General Laws, Chapter 138, Section 64, and Chapter 265, Section 13A, and police not notified in violation of Mass General Laws, Chapter 138, Section 64, and Board's Rule 1.14b. Who's present on behalf of the licensee?
Good morning, Attorney Green. Attorney Tyler Hensler from Upton, Canal, and Devlin on behalf of the licensee, along with Security Manager Mark Hatch.
Thank you. I'm looking for Mr. Hatch on my screen. There we go.
Yes, sir. How are you?
Thank you very much. I do see you. Thank you for joining us. Who is present on behalf of the Boston Police Department?
Lieutenant Detective Troy, Detective O'Connor, that's assigned to this matter, is at the grand jury. So in his absence, I will read it.
Thank you, Lieutenant Troy. Are there any other individuals with firsthand knowledge of the alleged incident who wish to testify? Can you all, thank you. I do see some additional individuals here with their cameras on, or if you're planning to provide testimony to the board, if you could please identify yourself.
I think just Mr. Hatch, we're planning on testimony. These are other members of the Raffles team that are here, just in
Great.
case.
Thank you for that explanation. Mr. Hatch, Lieutenant Troy, can you please raise your right hand? Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you, Lieutenant Troy. If you could please read the police report into the record for the board.
There's 3 separate reports. I'm reading from the first one, which is written by Officer Conley, and it reads as follows: at about 4:17 a.m. on Saturday, October 12th, 2024, Officer Conley, while assigned to the front desk of District 4, took a walk-in assault and battery report that occurred at 40 Trinity Place, Boston, Raffles. Officer was approached by the victim, Mr. David Cayarizzo, who stated that he was assaulted by an unknown male at the Blind Duck bar located inside the 40 Trinity Place. The victim, Mr. Cayarizzo, stated that while celebrating a friend's birthday, an unknown male became upset over Cayarizzo conversing with females at a neighboring table. Mr. Cayarizzo stated that at one point he got up to use the bathroom when a male followed him and threatened to twist his neck and kill him if the victim looked over at the table again. At this time, the male reached out to grab the victim by the neck and swung at him. Mr. Cayarizzo stated a brief struggle ensued, and at that time is when the other male began to attack him from behind, striking him all over his body and face with fists. Officer did observe minor redness and bruising to the victim's forehead and left cheek. The victim declined medical attention for his injuries. Mr. Cayarizzo stated security escorted both of the males out of the establishment. However, police were never contacted. Mr. Cayarizzo further stated he encountered the male a second time in the evening at Club Chez Vous, located in downtown Boston. The victim stated that the male approached him and stated, "I don't fight, I kill." The victim described the suspect as a white male, 23 years of age, 6 foot tall, medium build, short black hair, unknown clothing. The second report is written by Officer Sparrow, and it reads as follows. At 12:47 p.m. on Monday, this would be October 15, 2024, Officer Sparrow responded to the Raffles Hotel at 40 Trinity Place for a vandalism report. On arrival, Bob McCarthy, the hotel's director of security, reported a physical altercation between two patrons on 10/11/24 at 11:30 p.m. at the Wild Duck Bar on the 18th floor of the hotel. The altercation resulted in a broken mirror and visible scratches on one of the patrons' neck and face. Police were not notified of the incident. A third report by the detective, James O'Connor. It's written on October 22nd, 2024, and it reads as follows. On Tuesday, October 12th, Detective O'Connor responded to 40 Trinity Place, Raffles residence, Blind Duck for a licensed premise violation notice. On scene, Detective O'Connor spoke with food and beverage manager, Mr. Elias Akiki. Detective O'Connor issued Mr. Akiki a licensed premise violation notice. Violation was a result of patron-on-patron assault and battery. It should be noted that Raffles Security reported the vandalism that caused by one of the patrons during the patron-on-patron assault and battery. It should also be noted that Raffles management and security were cooperative. Security provided still shots of the damaged glass and still shots of the persons involved in the patron-on-patron assault. Mr. Akiki signed for and accepted the violation. That's the extent of the reports.
Thank you very much. Attorney Hensler, would you like to address the alleged incident?
Yes, I just have one question for the lieutenant. It seems like you already answered it, but I'd like to reiterate. Were the employees and staff of the hotel cooperative with Boston Police?
As noted in the report, Detective O'Connor's report, that the management and security were cooperative.
Thank you. That's all I have. So on October 11th, 2024, an altercation between three patrons occurred near the bathrooms at the Blind Duck, which again is a cocktail bar located on the 17th floor of the Raffles Hotel. Security personnel stationed at the Blind Duck, specifically security officer Marshall Alston, saw this occur and within seconds was able to intervene. Mr. Alston then radioed for backup, and within 30 seconds he was joined by two other security officers. The three guests involved in the incident were then escorted from the property. An internal investigation was conducted per company policy later that night by Mark Hatch, the security manager. And I will now ask Mr. Hatch some questions. Mr. Hatch, are you with us?
Yes, sir.
Okay, Mr. Hatch, were you on duty the night of October 11th, 2024?
Yes, I was. I was the security manager.
Okay, and did you conduct an investigation immediately following this incident?
Yes, I did.
Okay, did you speak to the security officer who was able to respond to the incident?
Yes, I spoke with Marshall Alston immediately following the incident.
Okay, and what did you learn from Mr. Alston?
So Mr. Alston was actually stationed right at the top of the stairs, just about 20 feet away from the lower bar where the incident happened. Right, and he had the vantage point where he actually could see the incident where it occurred. He did observe one patron strike another patron from behind, and then he noticed the two start struggling, and then a third one actually jumped in right away.
Okay, and how quickly was Mr. Alston able to react after he saw the incident begin?
So seeing from the video and after what he told me, right away he intervened within like 15 to 20 seconds of the incident occurring.
Okay, and when were you called to handle the incident?
So as soon as he went down and saw what was going on, he called me right away via radio call, and then I, responded as well.
Okay, and how soon after, you got the radio call were you able to get on the scene?
Absolutely. So I got the radio call within 30 seconds. I responded. So I said I probably got to the actual incident within the minute.
Okay, great. And did your investigation reveal any facts that may indicate that this incident was or should have been foreseeable?
No, it was something that happened just really suddenly. So we just had to just respond quickly, just like we did.
Okay, thank you. That's all I have.
Pleasure.
According to Mr. Hatch's report, it was determined that a patron was hit from behind by another patron, who was an unidentified third person as well. This was reportedly caused by patron number 1 buying drinks for the female companions of patron number 2. Patron number 2 and his friend were then escorted from the property at approximately 11:25 p.m. and patron number 1 was escorted from the property at 11:35 p.m. This was done to avoid risk of further interaction between the parties and avoid any further incidents outside the property. Because of the broken glass resulting from the incident from a mirror located on the bathroom door, and to prevent any further issues, the Blind Duck Bar was actually closed soon after the incident around 11:30, with all patrons out by 12 a.m. This bar has a 2 a.m. license, but out of an abundance of caution, they closed early following this incident. The video surveillance footage, unfortunately, did not clearly capture this incident as the activity occurred near the bathrooms. In the area of the bar, the cameras do capture, however, many patrons are visible, and the other patrons in the Blind Duck do not seem to react to this incident, showing that this was a contained incident, not a brawl or a large-scale fight. The video footage will be shared with the board later today. As Mr. Hatch testified, the above described events were not foreseeable. They happened in a matter of seconds. However, the response of the Raffles security team was immediate, beginning with Marshall Alston intervening seconds after the incident began and radioing for help, at which point he was joined by 2 members of the security team, including Mark Hatch. The events occurred on a Friday night and were not reported until the police, unfortunately, until Monday by the hotel. The hotel's policy at the time of this incident was to review all events that occurred at the hotel over the weekend and report them to the police on the Monday. This is because the hotel fields frequent complaints regarding misplaced items, lost luggage, and other property-related issues. So management wants to sort these out without burdening the Boston Police Department. Going forward, however, Raffles has implemented a new policy. They will report any alcohol-related incidents to the police immediately. We will ensure this happens by retraining and circulating a memo to all hotel employees and staff with a focus on the new policy that the police are to be called immediately for any alcohol-related altercations, no matter how quickly it was handled by the on-site security, a copy of which has been posted on the premises. It's been reviewed with staff and will be circulated to the board as well. The hotel is also looking into an upgrade for more comprehensive camera coverage of the Blind Duck, specifically the bathroom area. And finally, we understand from the police report that the parties met again later that night or early the next morning at Club Caveau in downtown Boston. This is a different establishment from us. Obviously, it's not really anywhere near us, but this is after being escorted from the Raffles premises, as I described earlier. I'd just like to add that these later events, should not impact the board's decision, as we had no no possible control over the two parties meeting later. Security intentionally escorted the two parties from the premises separately and at least 10 minutes apart to ensure that they did not interact or meet again in the immediate vicinity of the hotel. So we asked the board to disregard this portion of the police report in their evaluation of this situation. With that, we are happy to take any questions the board may have, and we thank you for your time.
Thank you, Attorney Hensler. We will turn it over to the board. Chairwoman Joyce, any questions?
I have no questions, thanks.
Commissioner Curran, Commissioner Saxon, any questions?
Was any video search done to observe the parties prior to the incident?
So I reviewed video to see when they actually came on property. So they didn't come into close contact with each other. It didn't look like they observed each other because they came at separate times when they arrived.
But it seems that they were in adjacent tables. Is that correct?
So the blind duck in the lower level is not a very spacious side. So they were across the room from what I observed, and then they looked like, the one guy started buying drinks for the other guys, acquaintances nearby, and I believe that's what sparked it.
Okay, do you have that video for us?
Yeah, but the video, as mentioned before, is not, you can't really see much of it. It's kind of dark. It's not the best camera angle, but you can see an interaction for sure.
Okay, could you get that for us then?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we'll
Okay.
provide it.
Thank you.
We'll send that later today.
And actually, what about time stamping on it? Will we know how long that is before the victim gets up and goes to the bathroom?
I mean, I have a timeline myself. The video saved might not, because it would probably be saved in a different format, might not show the timestamp, but I have the timeline myself as far as when the victim actually goes to the back for safety.
Okay, if you could share that, it might be helpful. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely.
It does sound like there's either a blind spot and or a place where it's too dark to see. Have you guys considered changing your angles or adding a camera, adding light? And if you haven't, just I would consider it.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you. Any further questions from the board? Okay, the board has requested a video of the incident along with the timeline prepared by Mr. Hatch and a copy of the new policy referenced by Attorney Hensler. With that, the board will take this matter under advisement. Thank you.
Thank you.
And calling item number 6, Paga Inc. doing business as Nick's venue located at 100 Warrenton Street. Date of the incident, November 11th, 2024. Assault and battery, patron on patron, inside premise and on public way in violation of Mass General Laws, Chapter 138, Section 64, and Chapter 265, Section 13A. Who's present on behalf of the licensee?
Good morning, Madam Chairman, Commissioners, Secretary Green, Mark Evliades, representing Paga Inc. With me today, I have Shirok Reza, who's Director of Operations, and Kevin Montgomery, who is the Security Manager at the establishment.
Thank you. Yep, I see both on my screen. Who is present on behalf of the Boston Police Department?
Sergeant Detective William Gallagher, read the LPV into record.
Thank you, Sergeant Detective Gallagher. Are there any other individuals with first-hand knowledge who would like to
Officer
testify?
Curran is here also, Mr. Green.
I do see
Just
Officer Curran.
unmute.
Great. Thank you. And are there any other individuals with first-hand knowledge of the alleged incident who wish to provide testimony this morning? Okay. Can you all please raise your right hand? Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
I do.
Thank you. Officer Curran, will you be reading the initial report into the record?
Yes, I can.
Great. Thank you very much.
At about 2 a.m. on Monday, November 11th, 2024, officers Curran and Rooney in the Alpha 103 Alpha responded to a radio call for a large fight at Venue Nightclub located at 100 Warrenton Street, Boston. Dispatch informed officers that 20 to 30 people were reportedly fighting outside of the above-mentioned address.
Multiple A1 last half units responded to the incident, as fighting in the large crowds often become hostile towards responding officers who respond to this location. Upon arrival, officers observed a large crowd in the streets disturbing the flow of traffic on Warrington Street as well as Tremont Street, as usual when the nightclub is closing. A large group was fighting directly in front of the establishment's entrance in the middle of the street. That was the result of an earlier fight that had occurred within the nightclub. Officers were able to separate and eventually disperse the crowd. The A1 patrol supervisor, Victor 947, Sergeant Jefferson, responded to the incident and performed a license premise violation, number 28935. That's the end of the report.
Thank you, Officer Curran. Sergeant Detective Gallagher?
Yes, I'll be reading from a report that I wrote on 11/17/2024 at about 1 a.m. Sergeant Detective William Gallagher, Detective Eddie Hernandez, signed licensed premise unit, responded to club venue at 100 Warrington Street to speak with staff regarding a fight that took place on 11/11 at 2 a.m. Sergeant Detective Jefferson responded to the scene with the Alpha 102. Officers were informed that there was a large fight outside the club involving 30 people. Officers did observe a large crowd in the street being disruptive and blocking traffic, but the fight had ended. Additional units responded to move the crowd from the area. Sergeant Detective Gallagher was informed by Sergeant Detective Jefferson that the altercation had started inside. Patrons tried to assault. Sorry about that. Sergeant Detective Gallagher informed by Sergeant Detective Jefferson that the altercation started inside the club when patrons tried to assault the evening's performer. These facts were reported to Sergeant Detective Jefferson by Club Security Manager Mr. Kevin Montgomery, who had called 911. As a result of this, Sergeant Detective Gallagher issued licensed premise inspection notice number 017914 to club venue for assault and battery, patron on patron inside premise, and on public way in front of premise. Licensed premise inspection was signed for and accepted by Mr. Shirok Reza. That's all I have.
Thank you very much. Attorney Avliades, would you like to address the alleged incident?
Please, Sergeant Detective Gallagher, good morning.
Morning, sir.
You weren't there on the night of the incident, correct?
No, sir. I was informed of it afterward.
Very good. For Officer Curran,
Yep. Yes, sir.
you were there on the night of the incident, correct?
Yes.
And did the staff and management of PAGA cooperate with the police officers on this particular evening?
They did cooperate, yes.
I have no further questions for the officers. Mr. Kevin Montgomery, who is the security manager, was working that particular evening. Kevin, can you introduce yourself?
Hi, I'm Kevin Montgomery, head of security for Posture Management.
And how long have you been working there?
Pushing on 20 years.
And were you working on the night in question?
Yes, I was.
And in the evening in question, did you have a entertainer that was doing a show there?
Yes, we had, I believe his name is Harley TV.
Okay.
Yeah, we don't know who he is, but yes.
And can you tell us what, if anything, happened inside the premises?
Well, the evening went fine. They really enjoyed this guy, but at the evening, I guess he has a huge fan base. He's an internet sensation, I guess. He has a huge fan base. So in order to, get the crowd to leave, because they're just sitting there literally just staring at this guy, nobody refused to leave. We put him in the back room area that was already closed off.
And approximately what time of the evening did you do this?
Probably we turned the lights on around 1:50, so probably around 1:55. We started pushing him into the back room.
Okay. And was there an incident, if any, while he was going to the back room?
Well, just the crowd just trying to get to him, like there's really acting inadequate about it. So that's when we pushed him into the back room. He had his entourage with him, and they was trying to keep the crowd back in theirs, So once we got him back there and closed the door,
what sparked your call to 911?
Well, because there was one particular individual who was being adamant and being violent and banging on the door and was refusing, being aggressive towards the crowd and refusing to leave. That's then just all the activity. I decided to call 911 right away.
And you called 911 to help disperse the crowd?
Yes.
And was that person escorted out of the establishment without any incident?
Yes. He's outside. Yes.
And later in the evening, did the police actually arrive at the scene?
Yes, they did.
And was there any, are you aware of any fighting that happened outside of the establishment?
No. No fighting outside the establishment, no.
And could you tell us the establishment's policy as far as dispersing crowds after the venue is closed?
We cleared the building, and half the building closed. We sent half the guys outside so we can kind of control the streets and keep them moving along Warrington Street and off the corner of Tremont. No, it's Nealon. I'm sorry, Stewart. I'm sorry, Stewart Street. And we clear them down there, and we just try to keep them moving. We don't like them lingering around.
And on this evening, are you aware of how many security staff you had working on that night?
15 staff and 4 management.
No further questions for Mr. Montgomery. Mr. Reza?
Hello, sir. I'm here.
Good morning.
Good morning.
You are the director of operations for this establishment?
Yes, sir.
And after the incident, did you conduct an internal investigation as to what happened?
I did, and like Kevin just explained, it was just basically super fans who wanted to get close to the celebrity, and one in particular was giving everybody a hard time. And when we basically started, all of that was started with just that one person. And Kevin made the right call, called 911 to come in and help us disperse the crowd, because that one person was kind of getting everybody going about it. And as far as that night, everybody went home safe. Everybody was cleared, and no issues.
No other issues regarding that evening at all, correct?
Not to our knowledge.
And it was Kevin that called 911 just to help get the crowd out of the street, correct?
Correct. We've said that, we've thought that a long time ago, that we want them to call 911 as soon as possible and ask for help.
Thank you. I have no further questions for the witnesses.
Thank you, Attorney Avliades. I will turn it over to the board to see if there are any questions. Chairman Joyce, any questions?
So 15 security and 4 managers, is that for a normal night, or did you staff up because of this celebrity entertainer?
We staffed up just a little bit, probably about 4 or 5 extra guys.
Okay, so a normal staffing model for a Monday night would be what?
Maybe about 13. Between 11 and 13.
Okay. So what time did you call the police? Or did you call the police because of the fight that happened inside, or because of the fight that you saw outside?
No, because it was going on inside, because the crowd was refusing to move because it was acting so.
Sorry, I missed what you said.
So I think my headphones. It was acting so fanatical that they was refusing to leave. So I just decided to call the police to help out, because there was half the crowd was leaving, so I had to send half the security outside to tend to them. So which left me with minimum security to kind of deal with the crowd that was refusing to leave.
Okay.
And then with that one guy being so agitated, I decided to call the police at that time.
Madam Chairwoman, if I may, we don't have a report of a fight inside the club.
Oh, it wasn't a fight. It was just the agitation of that one guy trying to get to this.
Yeah, there was no altercation inside the club.
Okay. And did you say you did an internal incident report?
Yes.
Can you forward that to the board?
Of course. Of
Uh,
course.
Okay. Do you have cameras by the door?
Yes, we do, and we're in the process of upgrading them as well. It's just an old system, unfortunately, and we're trying to get our budgets together for new year and add some more to it, to the existing system. But we do have a system that's currently working.
Okay. Again, you're in the same general area as the other 4 violations we heard today. So when we do have that public safety meeting, I would be including you as well.
Yes, ma'am.
I don't have any other questions. Commissioner Saxon or Commissioner Curran?
Was the fanatical reaction to the performer like foreseeable, or was it over the top? Like what happened here with regard to this performer?
He's just a popular, he had a popular song that came out that everybody liked, and I mean we knew he's popular. We knew he was going to be a hit, but we didn't anticipate any trouble with it, And there really wasn't any trouble inside of the club. It's just people trying to get get a few minutes with him and try to get an autograph or a picture or a selfie or something to that extent.
Okay, and so to what extent did the crowd have like access to him? Was it were they cordoned off like that he could move to where he needed to be backstage without having to be in close proximity to the crowd?
Yeah, we have different sections of the place. So in this particular, we start off with one area that gives them some access to the crowd, and then there's the immediate access to the whole other room that we could take him away if we need to, that cuts the access off altogether to the public.
Okay, and did the crowd kind of reach areas where they weren't supposed to be? Like it makes it sound like the crowd was like up against this door that he was through.
No, it's just again very excited crowd, very happy to hear the song that he.
So in light of this incident, is there any kind of thought about how things should they have been done differently? Are you going to do them differently in the future?
I would definitely add more security to the situation and have more officers, involved in the end of the night thing.
Okay, but nothing about like blocking off areas where like having barriers or anything like that. So when the artist is moved to the backstage, people can't kind of be right at the door, kind of banging on it, trying to get him to come back out. That's what I heard happen, right? Is that right? Or
we try to avoid using barriers just because of the fire department and their safety issues.
Yeah,
we try to minimize that as much as possible. Every night before opening, we walk around the place to make sure there are no barriers anywhere particular.
Yeah.
But I mean, every situation is different, and we've been doing this for over 30 years, and we hope that our experience and our resources will help us do the best we can.
Okay, I think that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you.
Do you usually ban people if they are
Yes.
rowdy? So in this particular instance, did you find anyone to ban? It sounds like there was at least one person that was
Commissioner, we actually have a ban list booklet that is a chat group between all of our managers and security, the head of security and supervisors. And if anybody ever starts trouble, we try to obtain a picture or snap a picture or go to their social media and find a picture of them, and we add them to this ban list that we have. So, and most of the time before the night starts, our door guys kind of go scroll through around the pictures and try to see if, refresh their memories of who's going to come in. We process a lot of people, so it's hard to implement it, but we still give it our best shot.
So was that done in this instance?
No, I don't. We didn't anticipate anybody causing any trouble on this. He's actually very popular with the female, with the ladies, and we didn't anticipate any issues with him.
So then even after the incident, did you follow?
Oh, after the incident, yes. I mean, the gentleman that caused us all the headaches and was the cause of us calling 911 has his picture in our ban list now. So
Are any further questions from the board? Thank you. Please do forward the referenced internal report as soon as you can. The record will remain open until the end of the day tomorrow. And with that, the board will take this matter under advisement as well. Thank you.
appreciate your time. Thank you.
Thank you. Sorry for the delay.
Thank you. Those are all the items on the board's agenda for this morning. That will conclude this hearing. The board will vote Thursday morning, January 23rd at 10 a.m. Notice has been posted to the city's website. Thank you all and enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you.